We got another fight coming up just in a couple weeks. Shawn Porter, Terrence Crawford. Again, we get two different promotional companies crossing the street and trying to make a match right there in the middle of the street here. How do you see this going? Is there any way that is there any way that Porter, we know he's going to muck it up and make it tough for Crawford, but I think the smart money, you talking about betting earlier, I think that smart money is going to be on Crawford to kind of, if not finish it, at least finish him at 10 if it doesn't go the distance. What's your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, I always go back to Terrence Crawford's two-handed power. He's got dynamite in both hands.
Right.
And, we saw exactly the bulldog that Shawn Porter can be and what he did to Errol Spence Jr. If he didn't get knocked down, you could make the case that maybe, Porter may have been able to emerge with a victory. But that's the thing. That's the thing that Shawn Porter has to get past. It's been close but no cigar so many times. And that's probably motivating him through these weeks. As he's preparing for this fight, he's saying, am I going to be that guy? Am I going to be letter B, number 2 to all of these guys that I fought? Or am I going to step up and hand this guy his first loss? There's a lot ticking in that heart of Shawn Porter. We know that. You gotta love the guy. If you've ever met him, he's so full of life. And I think that I'm just so, as someone who covers the sport, and I feel like I, am connected enough to the audience of boxing. You just got to be so happy that this fight is happening, because it can't fail to disappoint. And it's so good that the promotional companies, even though the WBO did kind of force them together, that they did get together and they got this fight to take place. But again, going back to it, look, I've always kept Terrence Crawford highly ranked in my pound for pound rankings, and I know we've had
highly ranked. Wait, highly ranked. Was there anybody above him?
Canelo Alvarez.
Okay.
That's it. And there was a time that I had him won. Okay. Honestly, but when Canelo, won at 175, I'm like, this guy deserves to go up.
Okay.
But it's absolutely this argument. I actually just wrote this too. It's like, just because Crawford hadn't fought, these other guys that Spence has fought or Porter has fought or something like that, it doesn't mean you can't look at the talent and say this guy is a sensational fighter, 3-division champion, undefeated. People, not to dirty the name of PBC, but people from PBC, I don't see them running to fight Terrence.
Right. But vice versa. Exactly.
Exactly. So I'm just happy that it's happening now. For Terrence, for Shawn, both of these guys really are, running to this stage to kind of see what each of them have. They're kind of good friends, kind of behind the scenes. They've known each other for a long time. I don't know how this fight can fail to disappoint. I don't want to say that either guy's going to stop the other guy either. I think that Terrence Crawford emerges with a hard-fought decision. I hate to say it again against Shawn Porter, but I do think that it's going to be somewhere around 7-5 or 8-4.
Wow, you got to go in the distance. I don't believe it's going to go the distance. Okay. Only because not only because, for the reasons that you mentioned, most importantly, Crawford can fight either way, left-handed or right-handed. Yeah. And whichever way, we know Shawn's going to muck it up. That's going to be his only chance to win. But I think Crawford's skilled enough to dance around it, avoid some of the muckiness, if you will, and then finish his business. That's what I anticipate. Obviously, I can't look into the future. That's what I anticipate, but I expect it to be a good 9-10 rounds. Yeah. That's what I really expect.
It's a great point, because Terrence Crawford, he considers all of the things that are said about him. And he knows, if I can knock out Shawn Porter when none of these other guys have, what does it say about me?
Yes, that's exactly
what's going on.
That's exactly it, because it went the distance with Spence, and he's motivated because he's not in the ring with Spence. I think Crawford's motivated to show that he's a better fighter, and what way to do it than, hey, here's a guy that Spence just fought and went the distance with, albeit a year and a half later. If he can get rid of him, that gives him elevated status right there.